Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Modern Investing on Bot TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and today's guests are Dr. Milan Sombarak. Welcome to the show, Milan.
Thank you for inviting me, Sasha. I hope I have something useful to say.
Of course, you'll talk about S&P 493 stocks and interesting what's happening there. And we have also Jim Eid from Eid Foundation. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you for having me, Sasha. And I don't know if what I say will be useful or not, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay, okay, that's great. Um, I'll say something interesting is brewing in actually. Uh, well, you can mention S&P 500, but most likely it's about the leading AI stocks. There is a battle between short sellers headed by Michael Burry from famous the uh, what's Big Short, I think. It was a movie about where he shorted the real estate market and made billions of dollars or billions of dollars, something. But he scored quite big. And now he's short. Well, nothing wrong about being short into something. What I see is a little bit distasteful as when you see that you're short and you're losing money day after day, week after week, month after month, you're trying to help yourself by influencing other people to either sell or going short or something to enhance your position. And I think it's distasteful, maybe illegal, and mm, actually somebody can sue him at the end of the day. Jim, what do you think about this?
Well, I think that, once upon a time, people would get outraged if someone did something like that. But nowadays, it's sort of like the norm. People are always trying to influence you, and it starts at in the presidential office in the White House, where they're trying to influence people, whether or not it's based on fact. And I think the demise of the AI industry is greatly exaggerated. Um, and I don't think that, I think if you are looking at certain things like companies that have acquired debt in order to build data centers or something like that, that's one thing. But if you're looking at the chip stocks that are, creating these chips that now have AI built into them, so that when you buy your laptop or you buy your phone, it has AI programmed into it. These chip manufacturers, they aren't dependent on the enormous amount of energy in some of these companies. So you can pick and choose which companies are going to be successful pretty easily, and which companies might be in danger. But the overall trend towards AI is still accelerating. It's not declining. So anybody who's trying to convince you otherwise, you know, um, just tell them to have a nice day and carry on.
Well, one though opinion which makes a little bit of sense to me about the data centers is that they require enormous amount of energy.
Absolutely.
That energy could be supplied by miniature nuclear stations. However, they will be produced in certain quantities that they needed only in 5, 6 years' time, maybe even seven. In the meantime, the chips that are being purchased today for these data centers in amounts of billions of dollars, if not more, they are in 5, 6 years' time will be obsolete. There will be absolutely no value in the ships because there will be probably two or three generations newer chips which will be much more powerful, which will be economically making much more sense, and so on. So how to wrestle with the idea that all this investment in data centers because of the energy supply reason could become well, let's see, a dubious investment, and therefore all purchases of chips, even those of NVIDIA and others, could be dubious if that's all correct.
Yeah, the fundamental problem with that is that the chips are planned obsolescence to begin with. You know, back in the 90s, we saw the advertising Intel inside. Well,
Yeah.
those chips don't exist anymore. So we know that these chips are going to be replaced, and the rate of replacement is accelerating. What that means, though, is the demand for the next generation of chips is going to be great and greater. So there will continue to be this demand for chips. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, because you're quite correct that the data centers require enormous amount of energy, they produce enormous amount of energy for those companies that need it. Now, to make a chip, how much energy is required? Now, to run applications that are AI, like for example, Chat GPT or AI Cloud or something like that, you may have enormous energy demands because a lot of people are logging on at the same time. But to make a chip, that's pretty static. It's not growing any more energy intensive than it has been. So those companies that are creating the chips and they are set up to create the next generation even while they're producing today's generation. Those companies are going to be robust revenue generators for the near term future, for the foreseeable future. So those companies are not going to be the alarm that's being sounded now is the demand for energy. Those are not the companies that are going to be affected by that. And the demand for energy is real. Will it be a problem and how we are going to solve it? Those are yet to be decided. Those are very real issues, but how will they be solved? And my inclination is that they will be solved, but we're not sure exactly how right now. And markets don't like uncertainty. So the companies that are in that level of uncertainty, and you're going to see some up and down behavior in these stocks. There's no question about it, but the trend will be upwards.
When
Well,
they
since that, you noticed lately that, sorry, Milan, lately oil and natural gas move a little bit higher simply because they could be viewed as the sources of energy. And another thing what I'd like to mention that producing of a Bitcoin, for example, also requires a lot of energy. And
yes,
because of that, there were some school of thought that the production of Bitcoin will slow down because there is not enough energy or so on. Was it solved? I think so, because
And
there's
unlike AI, Bitcoin doesn't solve any problems.
it does
It
not.
just demands enormous amounts of energy to produce it. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Milan, sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
yeah. My phone was just ringing. I just shut it off. Yeah.
Ah,
okay.
So your friend who is selling short, it's a particularly risky time. Selling short is always risky, but today is particularly risky because optimism is high. U.S. government shutdown, the longest in history, is nearing its end, and further rate cuts are expected from the Federal Reserve. So all that is very positive, and so the Dow Jones Industrial Index yesterday hit a record high. And so the Magnificent Seven, in spite of a recent dip, the earnings are remain strong, and the fundamentals are solid. So anybody who's selling short today is asking for trouble. Yeah.
I found with the short selling, I do sell short some stocks occasionally, not very often, but occasionally, yes, I do. And what I found is that fundamentally, I'm right, but I'm selling is a little bit too early. And at the end of the day, I will make money, but I will have to go through the red for several days before it will come my way. And this is why I really hate selling short, simply because you
Oh,
have such an impeccable timing. And
one of the Rothschilds, one of the Rothschilds, some of the wealthiest people in history on the planet, said, "I made my money by selling too early." So don't worry about selling too early if you do it the right way. Yeah.
well, he meant something different than what I was talking about. He
Oh,
was selling stocks that he
Yes.
already made a huge
And
profit.
I'll give you an example of that. AMD has popped again. And
Yeah.
when I went from, I bought it like 170 or something like that. And when it was around 230, I sold half of it. And
Okay.
it's up now to, what is it? It's selling at 56. So it's popped again. And this is the phenomena where, both the person that sold the stock, me, and the person who bought the stock is happy
Yeah.
because it's gone higher, but I got my price. And so I'm happy and everybody's happy, but the stock keeps going up. It's up 81% in the last 3 months. AMD has done a successful pivot from the old chip making to the new AI type of chip that's required for today's economy. And AMD is one of those companies that when I first bought it, I thought I have too much of it because it's an older, dusty. But both AMD and Intel have made the pivot that were necessary to be relevant in today's chip making industry. And so, when to sell them? That's a hard question because they keep going up.
This might be a good time for me to come up with, I usually come up with, I sound like a broken record, but it's worthwhile repeating. And that is what David Svensson recommended. And he ran the most successful university endowment plan on the planet for years. And he suggested that asset allocation is the most important and useful way to make money. Because if you have an asset allocation of, say, I personally have 50-50, but 60-40 is also good, and 45-55, anything like that, where you have a lot of cash, a lot of money on one side and balanced against SPY or QQQ. If you have an asset allocation of that sort, then what happens is anytime the market goes up, you take profits to bring it back to your asset allocation of 50-50. Anytime the market goes down and you have excess cash, you're buying bargains. So you're constantly buying bargains and taking profits, buying bargains, taking profits. You can't lose. That's the most effective way. Now, Wall Street will do everything possible to get you not to do that because they don't make any money on that cash part of your investments. So Wall Street is not our friend, but we need them. So they spend very little time. Michael Lewis, who published the book The Big Short, talked about how when they have their meetings, when Wall Street executives have their meeting, they spend their whole time talking about how to get more money out of us. They call us Muppets. How to get more money out of us. They don't spend 1 minute showing us how to earn more money potentially. So, they're not our friend. We need them in order to execute our orders, but outside of that, don't trust them. They're not our
Uh, Milan, could you please clarify one thing? What you just said is that while Wall Street is not our friend, and they do everything you said possible and impossible to squeeze us for money one way or another. So, how do they do it to you, to Jim, to myself? Like, because there's nobody else to talk to. So, could you explain that?
How do they do it?
They
Well,
doing everything possible and impossible. So tell me what they're doing possible, what's impossible, or all of it together. I don't care.
they make most of their money. They don't make much money, possibly none, uh, in our transactions because transaction costs are so low we can ignore them. Under $10 on $1,000 transaction, under $10 on $1 million transaction. They're not making money that way. They're making money on initial public offerings and mergers and acquisitions. That's where they make their big bucks.
Right, but how it affect you, me, or Jim? Let's say, okay, they do all this wonderful IPOs and mergers and acquisitions and so on. What does it have to do with us? Why you are so concerned about them doing everything possible and impossible to separate us with our money? I mean, even when you mentioned the commissions on a $10 or $1,000 transaction here at Quest Trade, where I'm trading, there are
Yeah.
no commissions on when you're purchasing or selling stock at all. So therefore, I feel like when you're talking about Wall Street, I feel either they're maybe on the moon or in Mars because somehow I don't see them, I don't feel them, I
Yeah,
don't.
it's true that they don't have a direct effect on us, Sasha. However, they do have an interest, a vested interest in having a lot of volume. So they want you to be an active trader. So there's a lot of volume, then there's a lot of interest, and people are betting more. And so they want you to keep betting. They want you to keep betting on a
Yeah.
stock. They want you to keep betting on an index. They want you to keep betting on an option. And so as long as you're betting, it's like a casino saying, as long as you're giving us a lot of money, eventually we're going to win. And we're going to win by because we're going to know that this particular company is going to do extremely well before you do. And we're going to take a position in that. And then you're going to take that position later on. And we'll make far more money than you will. And
You're right. You're right. In trading, they do have enormous advantage because they have like a book of orders. They can see how many people selling at certain prices, and then they're willing to buy at some other prices or so. Of course, they have enormous advantage. I agree with you, but in a way, they are not able to make me to trade more often or in different ways that I'm trading or different parameters. I'm doing only what I want to do.
yes,
You
Okay.
know,
you're
they
you're not the person that they tend to target, Sasha. And believe me.
they have
Agree.
inside if they have inside information. Now it's illegal to trade on inside information, but knowing it's, for example, a market maker's income is under $100,000. I heard it's about $80,000 or so. They're not making money being a market maker. They're making huge amounts of money by knowing what you and I are doing and acting before that. And so they are very often billionaires just by from knowing what you and I are going to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a stockbroker friend of mine who's just retired, and he said that the one thing he misses is all the access to the information. And, so,
Yeah.
it's access to information that he doesn't have now as a citizen. And I don't have it. So,
Market makers, beside having access to information, but that alone is not going to make you rich or
that's
even
correct.
make you positive in making money. What they do have, though, they have enormous capacity of both uh, the stock supply and the cash supply. So let's say a market maker of, say, Microsoft. He has, say, 50,000 shares of Microsoft in the morning before market opens, and he has $5 million cash, or maybe $50 million. It doesn't matter if he is a market maker for, let's see, JP Morgan or this, any other huge brokers like Goldman Sachs. That doesn't matter. He has that supply of stock and cash, which is unmatched by any one of us or our friends, even put together sometimes.
Right.
So what's happened is he supplies the stock if there are no buyers,
Yeah.
so he supply at higher
That's
prices
yeah.
because there are not enough sellers. So he's charging higher prices. Now, when there is finally equilibrium and he brought the stock down, when there are a lot of buyers, and so he can easily unload a lot of his stock. So he's now increased his cash position. The
Hmm.
only condition is he must end the day with the same 50 million or thousand shares of Microsoft where he started the day. Now his cash position, of course, will be different. With a good market maker, he will increase substantially his cash position. The not so good one, he will lose whatever amount of dollars, few thousand, maybe $10,000, whatever it might be. So this is really a role of a market maker. So you have to understand that it's even more important for you to understand on the option trading that it's all traded by market makers, and they are playing games. Sometimes there's a bid and ask, say 5 units to buy, 5 units to sell. All of a sudden there are 55 units to sell, only 3 units to buy. So you're, oh my God, this price is going down. So you're trying to close your position, and all of a sudden this amount disappears, the same mysterious way as it appeared, and then the security is going up in price instead of down. So you have to know the gains what these market makers are
Yes.
doing. They're very good at it. They're very
Yes.
fast. For example, if they're providing bid for 50,000 shares, if you wanna fill this bid even partially, you will not be able to do it because by the time that you will put your order, the bid disappears. It's no longer there, or it will be moved down substantially. So they're playing these games all the time. I know how it works, but this is part of environment what you're trading with.
Yeah, people, almost everybody is in the stock market, even people who don't think they're in the stock market, because if they're getting anything from our governments by way of any kind of government support, the governments are in the stock market. So everybody is in the stock market. And there are five good reasons to be in the stock market. Now, first of all, I want to mention what J.P. Morgan said when people asked him in the late 19th century what the markets would do. He said they will fluctuate. He should have said they will fluctuate as they continue to rise, because that's exactly what's happening. Now, the five reasons why everybody should be in the market or is in the market is, first of all, if you know what you're doing, the earnings can be excellent. Secondly, the quoted prices. Very useful to have your prices quoted all the time. You don't need an appraiser. The prices are always quoted. Then there's liquidity, absolute and total liquidity. I've been trying to sell a condo, a separate house here in Collingwood for over 3 months. The one that we bought, my wife and I live in one that took 3 years on the market before we put in an unconditional offer on it. So the liquidity is fabulous. And then the low transaction costs. The transaction costs, like you say, you don't pay anything, Sasha. The transaction costs are so low with all of them, $10 or under, whether you put in $1,000 trade or $1 million trade, you can ignore the transaction costs. And then the record keeping is good enough for the taxman. So good income,
Yeah.
uh, quoted prices, totally always quoted prices, liquidity, absolute liquidity, transaction cost next to nothing, and record keeping. All of us are lousy at record keeping, but
I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. I would add the caveat that get into the market with discretionary money, not with money that you need tomorrow or next month,
oh,
because you have to be able to suffer the ups and downs, and
absolutely,
there will be ups and downs.
of
And
course.
so, and if you can stay ahead of the game, that's wonderful. But it has to be money that you can afford to lose. And
Okay,
as long as you're playing with that kind of money, then even if the worst case scenario happens, you're going to be fine. And
okay.
if the,
Uh,
go
I,
ahead,
I,
Malcolm.
I want to add something to what you're saying. The money you can afford to lose. Everybody could live on 5% less than they're making. So I say set aside 5% of your income. 10% is better, but never mind 5% all the time, and put that in the market. You can easily afford to live on 5% less. And time in the market is what matters with that money. There are three issues that matter when it comes to accumulating money. One is the amount of money you put in, obviously. The second one is the interest rate that that money earns. And the third one is the time involved while it's cooking, while it's doing its job. And of those three, all other things being equal, time in the market is the most important one. So set aside 5% of your income. Anybody can afford to live on 5% less, and make sure that it's in the market as long as possible.
Yeah, I
So,
can't agree with you more on that. When I was young and I was an idiot, one of the things I still did that was had a certain amount of percentage of my paycheck deducted every paycheck, and the company matched it up to 6%. So
oh, how can
over
you how
how
can you
can you
be
possibly lose, right? And if I was so young and dumb that if I had seen that money, I would have spent it, no question in my mind.
Of course,
So
yeah.
having it deducted from my paycheck, it automatically went into a stock, and it was matched by the company that I was working for. and got to the point where I could buy into the San Francisco Bay Area real estate market. Um, and
Uh,
eventually, I mean, it took time, but as you're saying,
oh, no, I
all
totally
these things take
understand.
time.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about, Jim. My own example is 100 years ago, my sister and I went to Europe for the summer. I was 19, she was 18, and our parents gave us the same amount of money. I went through mine in no time at all, and I had to borrow from my sister. So, a tiger doesn't change its stripes, nor a leopard its spots, and I remained the same. I keep spending. If I wasn't married to Rosie, I'd be broke.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably would use everything. Hey, Sasha, quick question for you. Since I was listening to y'all show and everything like that, y'all always give great advice. What do you think about investing? And maybe Rick, I mean not Rick, Jim's got an idea and everything like that. Investing in some of these financial planning services because I'm pretty sure that they're on the stock. I'm thinking about things like Experian and Chime and stuff like that because I'm pretty sure that they are stock options. But I don't know whether that's something that people who should invest
Sasha,
in.
after Sasha gives you his view on that, allow me to do the same. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
You might as well start it.
Well, you can ask uh, Gemini, which is similar to ChatGPT, to give you advice on whatever you plan to do. The response is incredibly accurate and reliable, and it costs nothing. So that's what my view is of as subscribing to financial services. I used to subscribe to one which cost something like $300 a year, and they recommended that I buy Novavax, and I lost $200,000 on Novavax, recommended by one of these people. And they don't mention that, in their record of how they did. They always talk about their winners. They don't talk about their losers. So when I lost $200,000 in Novavax, I stopped using them. And now Gemini provides answers that are so effective and cost nothing. So there it is.
So what does they advise now today? What is their advice?
The advice now today is optimism is high because the rate cuts are expected to end. The U.S. government shutdown is ended or soon will be, the longest in history it has been. And so that means that it's not would not be a good time to sell covered calls. In a rising market, it's much better to hold the security than to sell covered calls on it. So that's part of their advice. So
Well, I'm thinking that Jim, maybe I'm incorrect, but if I'm judging, and I know it's not the way you should judge, by the ads that I hear on TV, I'm thinking that a lot of people are probably investing in medical products because I just finished watching, and I still have it on in the background, rerun TV show of Criminal Minds. They've got everything from female incontinence to things
Yeah.
that are like weight loss drugs and things along those lines. So it seems to me that a lot of people are probably investing in the medical industry, particularly those that are over the counter medical things.
Yeah, that is not my area of expertise, and I don't study it, so I don't want to give an opinion on that. But I do notice that that is a growing area. The baby boomers are taking care of their parents now. Nursing care is very important to them, and they still have disposable income, and they're going to spend it on their parents and all the healthcare industry. But again, I don't know enough to say this company is good or this company is bad. I don't know, Sasha, if you have any feelings about that.
Occasionally, but I'm investing if it's something to do with medicine companies. I'm invested occasionally and at AB ABBVI
yeah,
company. They pay very good dividend, and
Mhm.
it seems to me that it's hardly has a substantial downside in the company because to produce something what they have, it requires years of research and development and making this competitive drug. So, but right now I don't have it. Right now I have a huge psychological problem in my investing. because my large position in NVDY and regularly paid dividends, even small dividends like they announced today, only what is it, 14 cents? Uh, no, 140. I forgot what it is.
I've forgotten too.
It's much less than last Wednesday. Last Wednesday it was 32 cents, and this time it's only 14.44 cents, something like this. Much less. However, because of my large position, it still will by Friday deliver me a substantial check of, say, about $2,000 US, by the way. And I see the fight that you must carry on with short sales or even long positions. Let's see, okay, you got AMD. Okay, you're now making a couple of $1,000. And what do you have to carry it next? No, you will cash out. Okay, you made $2,000. How important is $2,000 for your portfolio? Nothing. However, there is a downside. Let's see, okay, you're making now, let's say $500. Okay, now there is a turn. Something happened on the market. The future started to go down or so. Now you're losing $500. That also doesn't make any any dent in your portfolio. But you're furious now, you idiot, having NVDY and guaranteed dividends every Wednesday. You wanted to make few $100 in AMD or some other stock or whatever. So I can't expose myself to this.
It's
So
interesting, Satya, because I don't know what the dividend was, but the yield is over 75%.
yeah, that's correct. Yes, it's incredible. I figured out that by the end of this year, all my investment will be paid off. So there will be no more my money involved in NVDY. It's all house money, house dividends. Everything is on the house. But I still have to trade. If I want to trade, I don't
Right.
have to trade. I may just sit there. I don't know. Maybe I have to buy something like. What I would buy today? I would buy definitely the Pfizer. Pfizer is paying 7% dividend. It's a very stable company. It's hardly you can imagine it will go. Actually, yesterday it had a nice moved up. It moved up 4%, 5% yesterday, and I expect it to. But the problem with Pfizer is that I have it in my regular portfolio, so I don't want to put Pfizer in my fund portfolio. So,
Right.
so
It's
forget
redundant
about
again.
Pfizer. So then, what else can I do? What are my options? I really don't know. I have to really, you know what? Maybe I will stop trading for a while, just simply. Okay, still have an Nvidia. Nvidia, okay, they have earnings in a week from now. I think
Also,
we will have a good earnings because TSM had a good earnings.
you talking about stopping trading. What's wrong with holding SPY and or QQQ and not doing anything but just holding them? You're going to be richer tomorrow, aren't you?
No,
What do
listen. If I would do that a few months ago, say 4 or 5 months ago,
yeah.
yes, I think it would be a very quality, so to say, move. Today, I would rather short both S&P and the triple Q.
Well,
The
time
truth.
line. But if you want to understand more about the drug manufacturing business, and they keep talking about how much it costs to develop a new drug. And a new drug, by the way, that they develop doesn't have to be better than existing drug. It simply has to be as good as. That's not much of a target, is it? So now, Marcia Angel, and her last name is spelled with two L's, was the editor of the New England Journal of Medicine for years and years and years. And she wrote a book on the evils of big pharma.
Yeah.
So look up Marcia Angel's book, and your eyes will open.
Yeah.
How big pharma abuses us. I'm on a medication which in Canada costs me dispensing fee of $14, which in the United States costs $19,000 a month, down from $29,000 a month, but still leading cause of personal bankruptcy. in the United States is healthcare costs. The wealthiest nation on the planet, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame that the wealthiest nation on the planet spends more on healthcare and gets lousy results. When you take a look at something that's quite measurable, such as life expectancy, America's life expectancy is nowhere near the world average.
No, we're not near the world average, but are you trying to make my state go broke? You do know North Carolina, that's one of our leading industries, and everything like that is the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals, but I do have a number of friends that work in that industry, since even Durham is known as the city of medicine. And we've got tons, including Pfizer, of companies that are here, and Glaxo Wellcome and a number of others. So you might be trying to make North Carolina broke. We were doing bad enough when tobacco became less of a thing. And if you're getting rid of pharmaceuticals, we may go down to the rates of Mississippi and Arkansas and everything along those lines. But hopefully not. But I do know that that is a major industry in the area, just like Jim can tell you that the whole telecom and those kind of industries are very big in California and everything like that. But yeah, it's a major industry here in North Carolina.
Yeah. And the one thing that Sasha was touching on is, inspiration. And much like chess, chess teaches you to both be disciplined and creative. And investing really requires the same thing. And right now, what I hear Sasha describing is he doesn't feel any inspiration to invest in any particular thing. And I find that my inspiration comes and goes. And there are times when I should not be actively trading in the market because I don't really have a clear inspirational understanding of what it is I want to achieve. And for example, I'll give you Tesla. When Tesla first came out, and it was in electric vehicles were all of a sudden the rage, and I bought a lot of Tesla and I sold it, but I sold it too soon.
You did.
And, it went through the roof. But this was like an inspiration, like thinking ahead. And so right now I was very inspired with the artificial intelligence industry. And I shifted all of my concentration into that sector. And I studied and I picked and chose certain companies that I thought were going to be very good. And Sasha was always we were talking about NVIDIA. And so, I listened to Sasha and I bought a lot of NVIDIA and I sold it. And then it still went up and then it split. And so I bought it again. And so these are the types of things that if you're disciplined, you don't break your own rules. You set your own rules. And I set targets. And if I hit that price, I sell. Sometimes I sell only half so that I still stay in the game. But I'm playing with the house money, as Sasha and I always talk about.
Just a moment. What I like about NVIDIA, so when it goes really down, like last week, Friday, I think it went down quite a bit.
Yeah, it got hammered. Yeah.
5%, 6% went down. And what I did immediately, I sold, was it 190 puts, December, 190 puts. So, of course, when stock started to recover, so I made a few $1,000s without doing anything at all. But it's not really trading. It's a position or decision based on historical prices or so on. So I figured out that even if it would go lower from that point on, so I would end up with another 400 shares of NVIDIA at very, very lucrative price.
Yeah.
Because I was paid premium 1,200 per put. So 12, I sold 4 puts, so it's almost $5,000. So whatever my price of NVIDIA would be, it would be $12 lower than it was trading that day whenever I would acquire the stock. But it didn't happen. It went up very quickly. So I think yesterday I closed this position. I closed actually quite a few positions. I sold some covered calls or so on, and I was making money here and there and there. I decided, okay, I'll close everything and just cash in. And that's what I
have something to say that I'm sorry to say, make James feel badly, but I have a Tesla, and anytime I go to a supercharger station, I talk to the people who are there too. And so I spoke to the guy yesterday who bought his first Tesla 10 years ago, and he also bought Tesla stock. He held it, and he retired recently just by holding that Tesla stock for a decade. Was able to retire before he was 50 years old. So, James,
Yeah, yeah. I sold too soon.
Maybe
I
that's it.
like before we finish. I like one remark yesterday. One of the commentators talking about Mike Burry's suggestion about Palantir and Nvidia going down, and this stock should be avoided at all costs, or so on. He said that okay, that's his opinion. Maybe he's right, maybe he's not. But I want to mention how many people in this life suffered because they never had any shares of either Nvidia or Palantir. So
Yeah,
I'm going to tell to these people.
the outside looking in, right?
Yeah, outside looking in, they didn't make any money and everything like that. Maybe I need to tell my friend that owns, I think, two Teslas, or maybe his kids have got Teslas too. That he should have invested in Teslas. Either Tesla or one of the other EVs that he got, because he may even have Riverlet or one of the other ones that's out there. But I know he's got the electric cars, and I know he's not investing because he's a photographer and his wife is a real estate agent, so they're making their money off of photography and real estate and all along those lines. Just really quickly, and this is for you, Sasha. I know that later on this evening, or no later than tomorrow, I will be making shorts, because earlier as y'all were starting the show, y'all were asking about numbers. And when I do the shorts, y'all do get a significant amount of numbers. Those numbers I do know range anywhere from several hundred to sometimes 1,000, depending on what I put as the hashtags. Like this time, I'll probably put investment, Tesla, and some of the other words that we've talked about as hashtags. So I do know that those numbers I do see, and they come from all over, because I've seen people from Canada, I've seen people from the European countries, and I've seen people from other places as well. So those I can kind of like see where the people are coming from, including some of the European countries. So we do see numbers in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Numbers matter. And I got my number when I sold my Tesla stock, but my number was too low. And that's one of the things, you just can't let that upset you. You're never going to get
yeah,
the highest price or buy it at the lowest price. But just
the idea is to
take
buy
this
low,
one.
sell high, collect early, and pay late.
I'll give you one secret what I'm doing right now. I put a few
Ah,
hours ago, I think in the morning, I made an order, but very specific order. I want to sell 4 covered calls of NVIDIA expiring this Friday, a day from today. And I want to get the price is, what is it, 192 and a half. And I want to get 395 for each call. So I will get over $1,500, actually closer to 1580 for selling this call. So I'm taking a line that, okay, if I will be exercise of 192.50, stock is now 192.96. But don't forget that I will be paid almost $4 in addition to what I will get for my stock. Now, if I will not buy it, okay, so I will keep NVIDIA for tomorrow as well.
Sasha,
Yeah.
your expiry date is on Friday.
Yes, this Friday.
This
Why?
Friday is Friday the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the closer the expiry date, the greater the percentage return. Why isn't your expiry date tomorrow?
They don't have options for tomorrow. Only
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Yeah,
It's the options they gave him and everything. Hey, Milan, you said something that caught me off guard. And I know Sasha's getting ready to end the show and everything, but in America, and Jim can testify to this, if you pay late, you wind up oftentimes paying penalties, because you gave this advice of paying late, and that was your advice with several things, but that last one was pay late. And I know that in America, if you pay late, you wind up paying late services and all along those lines. So you get into a lot of
I
trouble
wasn't
paying late.
aware of that. I wasn't aware of that.
yeah.
Thanks for mentioning it.
Yes. Yes.
yeah, whatever paying late. Some people pay never.
That's true.
That's
That's
true.
true.
Actually, I have one friend of mine. He told me we were in some business with him, and we were late for a payment for one of these suppliers one day.
Huh?
and he says that if you're late with payment, it's better not to pay at all, because trust between you and your supplier will be already broken somewhat. So you will not get the same service, you will not get the same
Yeah.
delivery or so on. You might look for different supplier. And if you want to get different supplier, you might as well not to pay this supplier, let him go and sue you, do whatever, like a la Trump strategy, you know.
Mm.
That's the Trump strategy. And Sasha, I can agree with you because I did an event because y'all know I'm also an event planner and did a tele event. And that was 2 years ago. And the person has been delaying and they haven't paid me. So if they don't pay me, they will never get my services again because they have not sent the money and the check that they are owed. And they may wind up in legal court if they don't give me a check very soon and all along those
No,
lines.
Mark, you're absolutely right. So they will definitely have to find supplier, or maybe when they made decision not to pay you, they already found a equivalent supplier. It's quite possible. But sometimes you end up like it was in my younger days when I was hired as the concert director, and I had an
Mhm.
orchestra and so on. And the concert went fine, everything was all right, except that a day before the concert, he went with his girlfriend to Las Vegas and lost all the money, including those that he had to pay me. So he paid me a deposit when he signed a contract, but no more money coming. Okay, anyway, I had to pay all these musicians, which I did, and there is still amount owed to me. And he told me honestly that there is no slightest chance that I would be able to pay you this money anytime soon. So I made an agreement with him that for 30 days he would become my slave, and
Mhm.
he would have to obey all my orders during the day, say from 9 to 5. And he would have to drive me whenever I wanted to go. He would have to do shopping with me. He had to clean the house. He had to do dishes. He had to do almost everything. So anyway, that was a payout. But it's nice feeling to have a slave, you know. I
No,
I
no, no.
miss it sometimes.
You miss that sometimes. Well, I know that a friend of mine, and I hope to see him next month and everything, had your job, and he's had it for the first time. So a good friend of mine that used to work at the cultural center I work at has now just completed his first year of being the entertainment director on one of those ships. I think it's Carnival or one of those. So I'm going to find out how he enjoyed it, just like I know you had that job as well. So maybe I can get y'all to contrast at some point what the job was like then versus what it's like now.
But
Yeah.
Sasha said it's nice to have a slave. Sasha said, the slaves of yesterday have been replaced today by appliances. Our dishwasher and stove and so on, those are the slaves of today, aren't they? The slaves of yesterday have been replaced by appliances. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's still nice to have a personal touch to say, "Hey, bring me coffee, idiot. Could you?"
Yeah, I tried that with my wife. It didn't work so well.
You shared that with your wife. It didn't work that well, and you did try to get like a surf or get like a
Eh,
maid because even some of the here in Durham you hear, and even other
yeah.
places you hear people always advertising that they will be your
I'm
maid
lucky I
or
have
your
a comfortable couch, though.
Yeah.
and she
Don't they
hasn't kicked you out.
don't they make robots in Japan now that can do that sort of stuff? Bring you coffee.
It's around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the effects of this revolution will not be seen for the next few years, but it'll start to be felt, and it will transform our society in many ways. And
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
all the doomsayers that the AI revolution is going to pop, it's going to be a bubble, and all that kind of stuff.
No,
You
no,
know,
no.
I say ignore that.
Yeah, we can ignore that. Hey, Rick. I mean, that's it, Rick, because I had Rick on the other show.
Yeah,
But
I
Jim
know.
and everything like that. Are you gonna get your own version of Josie? I think that was the one that was from the Jetsons and everything like that. Because Rosie, are you gonna get your own version of Rosie? Because Rosie was the living robot. If you watch the old show, the
I like,
Jetsons.
yeah, I like Rosie, so I'm sticking with Rosie.
Yeah, yeah. Jetsons were far way ahead of the time, and I also think the music that they played
Mhm.
was far ahead of its time too. You know, it seemed like spacey or whatever at the time, but actually listen to it. It's fantastic.
Well, apparently we
Great
have
job.
AI music. We learned that me and Sasha did earlier today on World Edition. So there is a number one country song that is only made of AI. There are no musicians at all. It is strictly AI, and it's the number one country song that is out right now, and everything like that.
Wow.
The problem with musicians today is they're trying to improve on Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and you cannot improve on Mozart. Yeah, he was gifted.
Last
Uh,
Sunday, I attended with my wife a concert of Andras Schiff. He is a supreme pianist who very seldom gives recitals in Toronto, but he did it last Sunday.
Mm,
It was amazing performance. And the only downfall of this performance, see, unfortunately, with the solo piano concert by so great musicians like Andras Schiff, and you're buying tickets 7, 8 months in advance
sure.
because the day of concert it was impossible to get anything. Uh, you they don't publish the program what they're going to play
Right.
because 7, 8 months is so far in advance, so they don't know how they're going to feel that day, what they want to feel like
yeah,
playing, and so on. So you never get the program. If I would know the program what he would play, I would not attend the concert. Why? Because although concert was 3 hours long with only one 20-minute intermission, so there were a lot of music, trust me. But that music, well, he did wonderful renditions of Bach, Beethoven, Schubert, which was expected though. But he did one useless sonata by Mozart and another one by Haydn. Each one is probably 20
I
minutes
learned
long.
so.
So this is completely waste, complete, uh, mm, I don't know how to say, is mm, why he wanted to cover it. He went with one idea, which I never heard from him or from anybody else. He played after he started with Goldberg variations, and I hope okay. So the first set will be Goldberg variations, which is fine, and he's interpreters. But after second variations, he stopped and he said, "Oh, you don't expect me to play all Goldberg variations or so
Uh-huh.
on." And somebody said, "I'll pay you more money, please play." But what happened is that then he played some miniature by Bach, something, a piece of it, and then a piece of some kind of a was it Mozart sonata or something, and he wanted to see. For all of us to see some kind of
Connection.
association between Bach's music and Mozart, so to show continuation of that classical. But this is so artificial. There is no truth in it at all. And I felt sorry for him that he even tried it. And I think he maybe he did it for the first time because he kind of abandoned that and then he just stick to performance, which was absolutely fantastic. Schubert was absolutely incredible. Anything what he played, Bach, Beethoven was incredible. Haydn, Mozart, waste of time, but it comes with the territory. What can you do?
Yes.
So
So,
if it,
some people are given greater talents than others. The greatest performance I ever heard was Nathan Milstein at age 80. Age 80.
yeah, he
Bach,
was fantastic. Yeah.
Bach wrote about 2 hours worth of unaccompanied violin sonatas. And Nathan Milstein got up there on stage. One guy, no piano, no orchestra, one 80-year-old guy playing the entire 2 hours worth of Bach's unaccompanied sonata by himself.
Well,
And
Wow.
first of all, the music is superb. You can find it on YouTube in different
Mhm.
interpretations from Yasha Heifetz to Menuhin to Oyster to almost anybody. So
yeah,
that's possible. And you know what I did after the concert? Okay, we went out for dinner, we went home, and I started to listen to him on YouTube. But
Yeah.
those pieces that I really like.
Mark, I started this by talking about the music on the
No,
Jetsons.
no problem. The music was actually good and everything because actually we have a conductor here in Durham, Maestro Curry, who is 73, and I was having a conversation with him that I think
I am
Sasha
out
will
of my
agree
league.
with and everything like that. But it was the notion of how conductors are able to have a very long professional career because he's not going anywhere. He was the maestro and the chief conductor both for the Durham Symphony and the North Carolina Symphony, and all along those lines. He's done a lot of other ones as well. I think he's from the Northeast originally, but we were having that conversation when I saw him last year, and he was talking about how
Yeah.
conductors are able to direct these people and direct these large orchestras that
And
well
any
into
job
their
change
80s,
is
90s.
newsworthy.
Even
Anytime
great
anybody
age.
is replaced, or it's a big story, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of the people that are offended or approve, and so it's a
Conductor,
very powerful and very a desirable job.
Yep.
conductors, by the way, make more money than anybody else on that stage, and they
Mhm.
live longer because they're constantly exercising in the process of conducting, whereas
Yep.
the other
Yeah.
musicians are just sitting still. So yeah, they also live
Well,
longer.
if you're
Conductor,
right, then you know who should make more money than conductors? The
who?
piano movers.
Mm. Good point.
But they
Good point.
exercise much more.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, they have
Sasha,
to
thank
make a
you for
lot of money because
conducting
we
this
actually
show.
had to
Oh, by
get
the way, I forgot to mention something to you. The first set he played on Steinway. There
Mm.
was one great Steinway grand piano. He played on it. Now, in intermission, they moved Steinway a little bit backstage, but it was still on stage, just back. And they moved ahead a Bösendorfer grand piano. And it was real great 9.6. Fantastic sound. It's so warm. It's so
Mm.
beautiful. At Steinway, it's a brilliant sound. It's something what we used to listen to, but Bösendorfer is. And
You know,
actually, the
the
pianist only Bösendorfer.
Bösendorfer has an octave lower than the
True.
regular key, and
Yeah.
that contributes to the sound that it creates. I don't think anybody's ever composed anything for those octave
No,
lower.
no,
But
because it's tough for human ear to listen to those low sound, and sometimes they're almost create infrared type of sound,
Yeah,
which affects you, but you don't hear it,
you don't
and
hear it.
sometimes
Fascinating.
creates tragedies. Like they built one famous story about organ. The concert organ was built in Prague, in Czech Republic, many century ago, probably. And on the first concert, uh, there was panic in a concert hall. People started to rush because it did produce in its lowest register some infra sounds,
Yeah.
and people couldn't withstand this, so there was a panic, and only they had to investigate what's happened, and they really figured out what's the problem. They stopped using this low
With the low
produced.
instrument. Hey, Sasha, I got one more instrument that they have sometimes have to move on a concert as well, because I know when we've done it, it is not easy to move. But the timpali is not an easy instrument to move either. Those things are very cumbersome and they're very hard to move as well. And I'll also give a big shout out, even though he doesn't really, but he does have the piano tuner needs to get a lot of credit as well and everything like that.
Well, on piano you have a lot of international competitions.
It takes
I never heard about timpanic competition of any sort. I'm pretty sure there are some very, very good musicians
Yeah.
who learn how to play on this instrument for years. But okay, let's leave it for them. Listen, thank you so much for today's program, everybody.
thank
And
you.
have a great success in trading. And we'll see you next Wednesday, same place, same time. Unfortunately, it will be a day of NVIDIA earnings, but earnings will be after the market will close. So unfortunately, we will not know.
We'll know the whispers.
Well,
Okay, yeah, whispers. There will be a battle of whispers.
Battle Whispers. Before we get out of here, Sasha, are you doing the show the day before Thanksgiving? I know we're doing next week, which is the 19th, but are you doing the 26th or do you know yet?
I never thought about it. 26. What day is it?
It's a Wednesday. That's the day before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the 27th. I just didn't know if everybody's going to be able to be here and everything. I mean, I'll be around, but I didn't know if y'all were planning to go on vacation
I
for
think that we can do 26. I don't think that. I don't have any
It's a good
plans. What
question.
about you, Jim, and you,
Yeah.
Milan? Yeah.
I'm not able to commit right now because
Okay.
my wife will tell me where I am. Supposed to.
That's good.
That's a good point.
Happy
Okay.
wife, life. Yeah.
Okay. Next
All right.
time,
Bye bye.
Wednesday. Okay. Bye bye, everybody.